Hey guys, I had a message this morning from somebody who just finished watching a couple of the videos about more difficult topics about being in Japan, some of the stuff that's a little bit more difficult, because I try and bring that sort of stuff to you to give you the full picture, so the critical stuff as well. And he asked, what are the good things? And I think I have never made a video about that, because I think, you know, there's already a few hundred videos about good stuff about Japan, and I think good is also a relative term. So there's a lot of stuff that one person might consider to be good, but another person might consider to be an infringement of their rights or something, and that frequently happens. I make a video about some topic, talking about how, you know, people here don't express their opinions loudly to other people, and, you know, half the people will say, oh, that's fantastic, I'd love to live in a society where people don't go around telling other people loudly what they think all the time, and other people complain that they want the right to be able to go around telling people loudly what they think. So that's why you won't find a video yet about how good Japan is, because, you know, what someone might consider good, someone else might consider not to be good. So it's a difficult video to make, because, you know, what's good, and different people have different opinions. So having said that, now follows a big bunch of generalizations. So I'll try and pick things that are a little bit hard to argue with. So I'll start with cleanliness. It's got to be one of the cleanest countries in the world. You know, I mean, you guys have seen that on the videos pretty well anywhere you go. Train stations, main roads, in the train, outside the train, in the bus, outside the bus, pretty much anywhere you go. City streets, footpaths, shops, restaurants, pretty well anywhere you go is clean. It's rare to go anywhere in Japan that's not clean. So yeah, very clean, very ordered, organised society. So you know, there's not a lot of chaos going on here. You know, everything's very organised and systematic. And again, some people aren't comfortable with that, but, you know, a lot of people are. Low crime rate, that's a statistical thing. Very hard to argue against that. If you look at the statistics on pretty well any crime, you'll find that Japan has, you know, one of the lowest crime rates in the world. Again, every time I mention one of these, I keep remembering comments. You know, I made a video about the low crime rate once before, and a whole heap of people got on and asked about women getting molested on the trains. You know, because it's a profile. It's the stuff that's profiled. You know, so again, it's a matter of, you know, if people want to argue against this or have different opinions on this, that's fine. But I'm just going on the general terms. Look at statistics. Statistics are, you know, less crime in Japan than there is in most other countries. Look, less arguing. As I'm saying this to you, less arguing, less aggression, less confrontation. In day-to-day life in Japan, not only do we usually not experience rudeness or aggression or arguments or confrontation personally, but we also don't see it or hear it usually. I can't remember the last confrontation, the last argument, the last angry voice that I experienced in Japan. I can't remember. To be honest, a couple of years ago, I guess, I heard an old guy in a dojo a little bit angry at somebody. I mean, you do hear parents and teachers in dojos, you know, raising their voices at students or at their kids, which I think is natural, but not angry, you know, not people angry at each other, not people complaining loudly in shops about the service or, oh, good service, that's another good thing about Japan. But I think that's a really big one for a lot of people. I've got to be honest, it's one of the main reasons I'm here, is I just, other countries I've been in my old country that I lived in, there was just way too much aggression. You know, just driving around the streets like this, there's, you know, people screaming at each other and hitting horns at each other, and you go to the supermarket and there's someone complaining loudly to the staff, and you know, the aggression and the rudeness. And to be honest, guys, the only aggression and rudeness that I experience in my life now is on the internet, on YouTube and on forums is the only place I experience rudeness and aggression now. There's none in my daily life at all, ever. I just don't experience it, you know. Or, to be honest, occasionally you do. I remember when I first came to Japan, there was I was in a restaurant with some people, and I'd just arrived. I'd only been here a few months, and the staff member came and took our order and went away, and brought our order and went away, and then someone said, "Isn't she rude?" And I remember being totally baffled, because, you know, to me it seemed like supremely good service, and it seemed like she'd been really super polite. But what it was her lack of, she hadn't been as polite as people normally are here, and because of that they thought she was rude. So the standard is really different. So it is true that occasionally here there'll be a staff member in a shop or something that won't be at the extremely high polite level that Japanese people usually are, and because we're used to extremely high level, sometimes somebody might seem a little bit abrupt or something, you know. But compared to outside Japan, you know, I never hear never any of that rudeness or aggression or impolite stuff that makes you feel uncomfortable, you know. And people who are sensitive to rudeness, like Japan, because, you know, don't have to put up with it, don't have to listen to it. So yeah, that's a big one. That is a big one. The food here is amazing, as you've seen on the food and eating playlist. Again, all these topics really have already been covered on videos. What I'm sort of doing here, I guess, is just making a sort of a what do you call it, a overview. Yeah, the food here is consistently high quality. There's good variety. Not only can you get all the Japanese food here, but you can get, you know, French food and Italian food and Mexican food and Indian food, and whatever they do here, they do it to really high quality. So, you know, it's easy to get good food, lots of good variety. What else? It's the society, guys. It's not. I think most people who live here long term, when you first come here, there's a lot of stuff like, oh, the temples and the shrines and the beautiful houses and the cherry blossoms, and, you know, there's all that too. But living here long term, that stuff is still a wonderful thing. You know, driving down the streets at the moment when the cherry blossoms are out and looking at old temples covered in cherry blossoms, and, you know, and it is a beautiful place, and it has its four seasons that, you know, are really beautiful. You know, winter with the snow, and spring with all the flowers, and autumn with the oranges and the reds, and that's stuff that people appreciate when they come here on holidays. When you live here long term, you still appreciate it. You know, beautiful buildings I'm driving past here, and, you know, we still appreciate it. But when you live here long term, it's the day-to-day stuff that you appreciate. You know, walking into a convenience store and getting served really fast, and, you know, going to the post office and being served really fast by a really polite staff member. You know, and just the politeness and the consideration from everybody. These guys really focus on living in a society. You know, this isn't all about me. You know, these guys here focus on living in a society and think about the people around them, and as a result, it's a really nice society to live in. You know, it's amazingly quiet. There's an interesting thing that most people wouldn't expect from Japan. I certainly didn't. It's amazingly quiet. You know, because people are so considerate. You know, where I lived in Australia, we had, you know, the guy over the back fence had a dog that barked all the time. It just always barked. It was really annoying. Rah, 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 you know, all the time, 24 hours a day, on and off. You know, it stopped sometimes to eat or chew something up, probably. But, you know, he had a dog that barked all the time. I had neighbours that used to use, you know, petrol-driven machines, you know, chainsaws and brush cutters, and lawnmowers and you know, young people that squeal their tyres on their cars and on their motorbikes and roar on their motorbikes, and you know, compared to Australia and compared to most countries I've visited, Japan is incredibly quiet. Even in the big cities, if you go to the big cities, they're often incredibly quiet because you haven't got people squealing tyres, you haven't got people hitting horns, you haven't got people talking loudly. You know, that's a big thing. You go and sit in a restaurant here, usually there's not people talking loudly. I mean, sometimes if you go to a spirited place where people are drinking and there's a car or something and they're sort of singing and you know, karaoke and stuff, it happens. But usually, if you go to a restaurant here, usually it's incredibly quiet. You know, there's no raised voices. There's no, usually, these are all generalizations, but compared to other countries, you know, it will strike you if you come to Japan, or if you're already in Japan, I'm sure you've already noticed, it's incredibly quiet. You know, on the train, on the bus, in the restaurants, on the street. You know, you walk outside on the street, even during the day, you know. I think I might have done a video, I mentioned this in a big city before, but you can stand on a street in a big city here and really listen and think, well, look, there's no blowing of car horns, there's no squealing of tyres, there's no people calling out to each other, hey Bob, you know, there's none of that. It's an incredibly quiet place. I walk outside my place at night and it's dead quiet. It's absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Now again, there's two sides to all these things, because it also means that, you know, you can't play your music really loudly because it's going to disturb your neighbours. You have to be a little bit considerate. So, you know, these things that I'm saying are good are some of the reasons that the people who choose to live here. But also, I'm sure some of these things that I'm saying are good are also some of the reasons that some foreigners choose not to live here. Because, and you see it in the comments in the videos, you know, I make a video talking about something about Japan, and half the people, or lots of people, will say, geez, that's really cool, I wish my country was like that. And there's always some people who go, oh, that sucks. You know, I don't want to have to live in a place where I have to play my music quietly. I want to be able to play my music loud, you know. You know, bottom line is, actually, most foreigners that come to Japan don't stay here. There's an incredibly high percentage. I think it's 60% of foreigners that come to Japan intending to stay long term go home within the first 3 months. Because there's two sides to all this stuff, you know. All these good things are wonderful, but you have to do them too. And I think that's why a lot of foreigners give up and go home. So, but keeping to the positive subject, it's good. The good things about Japan, efficient. Trains and buses and that sort of thing. You know, it's not uncommon in Australia for a train just not to turn up. You know, standing waiting for the train just doesn't come. It was cancelled, you know. In Japan, the trains are just legendary, always on time. And if for some reason it's delayed 30 seconds, there'll be an announcement. And sometimes they are. Sometimes the train's delayed. You know, there's some problem and the train's delayed or something. And if it is, before the due time, there'll be an announcement on the PA system saying the train's been delayed, how long it's been delayed, when it'll be there. So there's more stuff. It depends on the people. Different people, you know, would tell you, different people who live here would tell you different reasons while they're here, but that's just some of the reasons, some of the good things about living in Japan. So just on this too, people often send me messages and say, you know, I really want to live in Japan. I really want to come live in Japan, and you know, what should I do and how should I do? And when I ask a few questions, it'll turn out that they haven't actually been here yet. To those people, I would suggest come and spend. You know, you can come here and get, most people from most countries can automatically get a 3-month entry permit. It's not actually called a visa, but they can get a 3-month entry permit to come into Japan and spend 3 months in Japan. So to those people that say they want to come live here, I suggest get the 3-month entry permit and come here and try it out. Or, you know, get a 12-month, if you're from a country that you can get a 12-month working visa, or, you know, if you can apply to some company here and get a job here for 12 months, come and try it out. That's really the thing. And to that guy that asked me about, tell me the good things about Japan because I'm thinking about coming here, I'd say definitely come and spend come and spend time here first before you go selling all your possessions wherever it is that you live now and doing anything too radical. Come and try it out first, and for long enough too, because it's all perfect to the first couple of months when you come here. It's all perfect. And the other thing is, when you come here on holiday, usually you don't have any obligation, you don't have any responsibilities. So come here on holiday and spend a couple of months travelling around, looking at the cherry blossoms and the beautiful old buildings and that sort of stuff. It's all good, because there's nothing difficult. Definitely I recommend, if you're thinking about living here forever, lots of people send me messages, say they want to move to Japan. They want to move to Japan and live there forever. Come and try it out first before you do anything radical. Don't close your doors where you live now. Just yet would be my advice. Keep your options open in your home country. Don't quit your job. Maybe just take a year's leave, or just be conservative with what you do in your own country. Don't close any doors in your own country, and just come here and try it out for a year or so, and with all the responsibilities that go with it, and experience the reality of it, because the reality of it and people's image of it is always different. That, I think, anybody that's lived here long term would agree with that when they first came here, their image of Japan, it changes, of course. A lot of the stuff stays the same. The cherry blossoms are beautiful, the old buildings are amazing, a lot of that sort of stuff does stay the same, but when you live here long term, the realities of living here become more important. It's much more important, the day-to-day living and the responsibilities, and I've tried to keep this video on the good stuff, but the bottom line is that a lot of the good stuff is as well as difficult, because you've got to do it too. So to the guy that was asking me, tell me the good stuff about Japan, I hope that's given you a little bit of an idea. There's more, and I'm sure as soon as I stop this video, I'll think, oh, I should have mentioned this and I should have mentioned this. There's a lot of good stuff about living in Japan, and depending on who you ask. If you ask different people about it, some people say, I love the fact you can find a vending machine on every corner. There's vending machines behind me right now. There's always a vending machine. There's one vending machine for every 2 people in Japan. So, there's 50 million vending machines. The convenience stores are always within walking distance and open 24 hours a day. It's endless. It's endless. The good stuff about living here is endless. But just quietly, it's also very difficult. And that's why I think that in a lot of the videos, the good stuff, the positive stuff is evident. You can see for yourself. When I make a video about the food, you can see it's good. If I make a video about some amazing, beautiful place, you can see it's amazing. And I think the good stuff about Japan is pretty well self-evident. I don't really need to point it out too much. I think I have more of an obligation to you guys to try and show you the other side as well. Not to be negative, but to be realistic, and to say, look, if you come here, you're going to have to put up with this. Or if you come here, you really, if you try and do what everyone else is doing here, it's more difficult, but it will have better results for you, most likely. And again, it's all just opinion, and it's all just observation. It's just what I've observed and what I'm reporting to you guys. I try and keep it objective and try and keep it to reporting to you guys, but again, it's different opinions. As with any media, if people report on any topic, you'll hear different perspectives. I try and keep it realistic, but again, that's why I say come and check it out for yourself. If you're thinking about being here long term, come and try it out for yourself first, because you might feel differently about it to what I do. You might not like the food, or you might not like the vending machines. You might find them annoying, or so rather than believe what I say or what anyone else says about the place, if you're thinking about being here long term, come and try it out for a year. Rent yourself an apartment and go to work for a Japanese boss, and oh dear, and do all the stuff. Live here for a year or more if you can, and really try it out. Sort of step at a time. I think selling everything you own and moving to Japan when you've never been here before, It's pretty outrageous. I think come here for 12 months and see how you go, and if you like it, stay another 12 months and treat it more like that. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, and then you can, you know, who knows? You know, I've seen people live here for 10 years and then go home. You know, I know people have lived here for 10 years and then gone home. People lived here for 20 years and then go home. I think it's more than 60% that come here. The plan is to stay long term. More than 60% of them go home within 6 months, I think is the statistic. So people come here with a 1-year visa and after 6 months, or within 6 months, go home. There's a really high percentage of people that do that because it's harder than it seems. It's a pretty hard place to live. So, sorry, it's supposed to be a good topic, isn't it? So yeah, come try it out, see how you go. If you like it, stay longer. If you like it, stay longer. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Go home. If you decide you want to go home, go home. You know, it could happen to anybody. Anybody that lives here long term could decide at any time that they'd prefer to live in their home country. Who knows? You know, situations change and people's lives change, and you know, different stuff happens. So anyway, to the guy that asked the question, this is why I made the video and didn't try and respond to your message with another message, because this would have been a really long message. So I hope you found that a little bit interesting and a little bit useful. More videos coming soon.